Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
On the national news this hour from Babagbagede Imo Television, first the headlines. Germany set to deport 14,000 Nigerians. FG gives deportations conditions. APC replies Peter Obi says Labour Party candidate as ensconced himself in self-delusion. Naira stable closes at 1,000 Naira per dollar on parallel market, depreciates marginally to 808 Naira per dollar on I&E. Armed robbers cause havoc as they invaded markets, churches and bars in Ikotun. Association laments high cost of baking materials, others. And on sports, address Super Falcons vacant coach job urgently. I am Morire Rabila Lawal, the news in detail. Germany, under the leadership of Chancellor Olaf Scholz, is preparing to deport approximately 14,000 Nigerians who have been residing in the country. This move comes as Germany has seen a significant number of initial asylum applications from Nigerians in 2023, with a comparatively low recognition rate. In response to this, the Nigerian authorities have been reluctant to accept individuals without proper identification documents, leaving around 12,500 Nigerians in Germany in a state of tolerance. For several years, Nigeria had been among the top 10 countries of origin for asylum seekers in Germany, but the numbers have started to decrease. However, the recent surge in initial asylum applications from Nigerians in 2023 has raised concerns. Of the almost 14,000 Nigerians facing potential deportation, a vast majority lack proper identification documents. Nigeria is willing to take them back as long as they have behaved well, but only if there is something in it for them. Instead, we should stop the 640 million euros in development aid. Chancellor Olaf Scholz emphasized the need for cooperation to address the deportation issue during discussion with Nigerian authorities. While Tinubu made some evasive comments, he hinted at the possibility of a partnership to address the situation. He emphasized the willingness of Nigerian authorities to accept individuals back into the country, particularly those who can be identified as compatriots and have maintained good conduct. The Nigerian authorities are currently not accepting replacement documents issued by Germany. This was also the topic of conversation between Scholz and Tinubu. The All Progressive Congress APC has reacted to the press conference earlier yesterday by the Labour Party presidential candidate in the last election, Mr. Peter Obi. Obi had decried the ruling of the Supreme Court, affirming Bola Tinubu as the president of the country, and wondered why the Apex Court Justice ignored the case of forgery and identity theft against Tinubu. Reacting to Obi's media briefing, Felix Moka, APC spokesman, said Obi's gross inability to distinguish between his warped version of public opinion and reality has been his greatest undoing throughout the electioneering season. Taken by the mass hysteria of his vociferous netizen and fringe supporters, Mr. Obi ensconced himself in alternate reality, a parallel political universe of self-delusion. When the same court previously decided in his favor, the courts were beacons of democracy. Now that the decisions are against him, all of a sudden the courts have betrayed democracy. Mr. Obi, it cannot always be about you. It must always be about our dear country, Nigeria. Cases are not won on public opinion, they are won on evidence and law. You failed on both counts. We welcome Mr. Obi's decision to engage in opposition politics going forward. We urge Obi and his Labour Party to do so maturely and constructively and contribute to the important task of building a safer, stronger and more prosperous country for us all. The Naira remained stable against the dollar on the parallel market where it exchanged at 1,000 Naira yesterday, same amount it closed last Friday. Both on the investors and exporters forex window, the Naira closed at 809.02 Naira to $1, slightly lower than the 776 Naira 14 kobo Naira to $1 it closed on Friday. However, intraday trade from the data obtained by FMDQ showed that the highest spot rate exchange was at 1,101 Naira to $1, while the lowest spot rate recorded was 720 Naira 50 kobo to $1. The official I&E window reported a daily volume turnover of 87.67 million US dollar, representing an 11.31% decline compared to the 98.82 million it recorded on Friday. Residents of Governors Road, Ikotun area of Lagos had a nasty experience at the weekend when daring armed robbers stormed the area during the day, shot periodically and looted properties without regard to security men. Information reports that the bandits stormed the area at about 2 p.m. on Saturday with assorted weapons such as guns, knives, charms, cutlasses, and among others, and were said to have blocked the Governors Road from the Oduero end along Igodo, Lasso Expressway and started robbing people helplessly. According to eyewitness, the robbers, numbering over 10 men, invaded the area with operational vehicles and motorcycles, first shot in the air to scare and intimidate people within the area. They then moved into shops at Oduero Market and carted away food items such as rice, beans, meat, gari, tomatoes, and other beverages, which they packed inside their vehicles. Not done yet, the robbers were said to have moved from the market to nearby churches, lounges, and bars, and carted away valuables including drinks in the operation, which lasted for about 34 minutes before they escaped without the presence of any security agencies in the area. According to eyewitness, the armed men were daring and were ready to confront any obstacles, leaving the residents to run helter-skelter into any available hiding in order to save their lives and also avoid stray bullets. According to the residents, Governors Road in Ikotun and Larry bus stop have become notorious for criminal activities over the years and seem to be safer zones for armed robbery operations and escape routes. Recently, kidnappers stormed Governors Road in Ikotun, shot sporadically for almost 30 minutes without visibility of any security agencies, while a businessman identified as Chimex and 3 others were kidnapped and kept in captivity up till each of them paid 4 million naira before they were released. As the police were battling to fish out criminals that kidnapped the victim in Ikotun, the kidnappers struck at Larry Buster and in the same manner shot sporadically, kidnapped victims and escaped with their operational vehicles. The residents of Ikotun and Igodo are appealing to the police to identify Governors Road in Ikotun and Larry Buster in Igodo as black spot and put adequate security measures in the area to avoid future occurrences. Amid high rate of inflation in the country, the Premium Bread Makers Association of Nigeria has again raised concerns over rising cost baking materials in Nigeria, saying lack of access to foreign exchange is crippling the baking industry, in addition to high-level levy on raw materials importation of bread production. The national president of PBAN, engineer Emmanuel Onora, who stated this yesterday in Lagos during the courtesy visit to stakeholders in the baking industry, also identified limited prospect for ease of doing business as another key impediment for the baking sectors in the country. Called on the federal government to make favorable and implementable economic policies that would encourage and promote baking in the country. According to him, it is high time the federal government, through a deliberate policy, suspended levies placed on wheat and other baking products to encourage investors' survival in the industry. Speaking at Lasafe Africa BA Nigeria Distribution Limited, Aja, Lagos, Engineer Nora also bemoaned lack of foreign exchange on raw materials by Nigerian banks to manufacturers. The PBAN president enjoined the French company to establish their production factory in Nigeria rather than importing raw materials from overseas. Six manufacturing companies have suffered a combined loss of 166.3 billion naira in the 9-month financial result for the period ended September 31st, 2023. The companies listed on the Nigerian Exchange Limited are Nestle Nigeria, Cadbury Nigeria, Dangote Sugar Refinery, Nigerian Breweries, International Breweries, and Champion Breweries. Reports say that rising interest rates and Naira devaluation have continued to impact negatively on the operations of the manufacturing sector. The Naira devaluation has led to decrease and increased operating costs for multinational whose major costs, including finance costs, are denominated in foreign currencies. Meanwhile, the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) increased the monetary policy rate, also known as its benchmark interest rate, for the 8th consecutive time in July by 25 basis points to 18.75%. This puts more pressure on the margins of FMCG companies already dealing with double-digit inflation rate and weak purchasing power of cash-strapped consumers. A female student of the University of Port Harcourt Uniport has been found dead in her apartment at Alu in Ikwere, local government area of Rivers State. The student, identified at Adaize by sources, was a 200-level undergraduate of accounting. It was gathered that her body was found in her off-campus apartment in Alu, a community close to the school campus. The discovery came about 2 weeks after a body of 300-level student of biochemistry, Justina Otuene, reportedly killed by her boyfriend, Damien, was found in the boys' residence along NTA Road, Ozuabo, in Obiapo, LGA. Speaking on the latest incident, the Dean of Student Affairs, Uniport, Professor Chima Wokocha, said the largest body of the disease was found in a residence and brought to a health facility in the school by some of her neighbors. He said her body was brought to the school, but some of her neighbors would live in the lodge. She didn't die in the university hostel. She died in a way off residence in Alu, and the scene of crime was visited by the management of the university, including the student dean of affairs. Professor Nwokocha said the school management and the police visited the scene of the incident and later notified the parents of the late undergraduate. The parents have come there, and I think they are making arrangements to take the body. You are watching the national news from Baba Bagidi Imo Television. Lastly, on the news this hour is sports. Former Super Falcons coach Godwin Ezealian has ordered Nigeria Football Federation (NFF) to appoint a substantive coach for the Super Falcons instead of politicking and keeping silent on the issue. Ezealian, he said, it is embarrassing that the Super Falcons, who did well at the last Women's World Cup, have been left without a substantive leader when the team is struggling to qualify for the next year's Olympic Games in France. I believe the NFF has been speaking with Randy Waldron, and if the contract talk is not heading anywhere, they should appoint another coach immediately. One man cannot hold the country to ransom. NFF has been keeping silent on the Falcons coaching job, but I feel they don't need to politicking with it. Had the Falcons lost to Ethiopia in the Olympic qualifiers, people would have said it was because the coach was not around. Contacted on the issue, NFF Technical Committee, Augustine Eguavon, said the responsibility for hiring coaches for the national team lies with the Federation's board. I am an NFF employee. My mandate is to work with any coach appointed by the Federation. Questions on Wandrum's contract should be directed to NFF board, not me, he said. With our sports story, we've come to the end of today's national news. Before we go, some headlines. Germany set to deport 14,000 Nigerians. APC replies Peter Obi, says Labour Party candidate as ensconced himself in self-delusion. Naira stable closes at 1,000 Naira per dollar on parallel market, depreciate marginally to 808 Naira per dollar on I&E. Armed robbers cause havoc as they invaded market, churches and bars in Ikotun. Association laments high cost of baking materials. Others. On sport, address Super Falcons vacant jobs coach urgently. For updates of our broadcast on YouTube, our handle is Baba Bagidi Imo Television. Kindly subscribe and click on the notification bell. Select option all to access all of our broadcasts. On Facebook, Bagidi Imo with Alawi Adebayo. Please like and follow the page. For advert placement of your goods and services, coverage of events and function, please dial the phone number streaming on your screen. Thank you for watching. I am Morire Rabila Lawan. Good afternoon.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.